Hello and welcome. I am so excited to be back here with everybody again today. And I have brought a very special friend and guest and somebody that you have got to know. So I couldn't wait for today to get here. And so I want to introduce you to my very good friend, Pete Vargas. He, like everything about stages, speaking, leveraging your business in that way, this is the guy to go to. This is who I go to. But I just want to, before we dive in, Pete, I just want to share with people how we met, because we haven't known each other very long.
Yes.
Still a new friendship. And, a lot of you all know that I had my first ever live event back in February, just this year. It seems like lifetimes ago right now. And it's the first time I had been on stage. I've been doing webinars and presentations for 14 years, but this was my first time on stage. And I knew I wanted to bring in a guest speaker. And my good friends, Barry and Blue, they were helping me with the event, and they introduced me to Pete. And they're like, Pete is going to be the perfect person to have on your stage. And I trusted them deeply. And so we went with it. And Pete, that's how I met Pete. He was the speaker on our stage. And then all of a sudden now he's helping me to get on more stages. And I just love how the energy is going back and forth. And it's been just a delight to get to know you and support you and, just actually go through your program myself and go through everything that you're sharing, because I think it's so incredible. So I wanted to bring you here to introduce you to my community, and let's just have some fun. Let's talk about stages, and let's talk about growing business and getting them out there and getting them seen and sharing their work in this world.
Yeah, so whoever's watching, as you're watching this live or even on the replay of it, like whether you've been on no stages at all and you're like, I don't know about stages, whether you've been on a few stages or you've been on a lot of stages, like I'm pretty confident that you will look at stages in a completely different way, like you've never looked at them before after we chat here for a few minutes. And so, yeah, Melinda, I'm so grateful for the new friendship. I'm so grateful for Barry and Blue and connecting us, and I love them. Actually, because of what I've experienced in that your event and a few other events, they're actually doing our event. They're working our event. So, yeah, yes, yeah. I love it. Yeah, so here's what I want people to know. Like, I love stages, and there's kind of three quick stories I will share to illustrate the power of stages and how they impact people personally and professionally. So first, as a young kid in my teenage years, my grandmother took me in because of a broken relationship with my dad. My dad was an extremely abusive dad growing up. My grandma said enough is enough. So when I was a teenager, there was a handful of speakers that really made a significant difference in my life personally. They made me want to become a better man. Zig Ziglar was one of them, but they made me want to become a better man and not be what my dad was to me. And so speakers impacted me personally. Then out of college, I went and took over as a youth pastor. I had the opportunity to go to I thought I was going to be Jerry Maguire, because two of the speakers that impacted me were David Robinson and Emmett Smith, two amazing men. And I thought, man, if I could go represent athletes in this world, and they could go change our world. But little did I know I was going to represent your community and so many other communities. And so I didn't go do the sports agent thing because I didn't want to go to law school. So I had two job opportunities leaving college: go be a youth pastor in Hereford, Texas for $18,000, or take a great job in corporate. And I said, I'm going to go take the job in Hereford. And because I just felt like I could love on kids. The pastor's like, yeah, I know you have no Bible training, no theology training, but I know you'll just come love on kids. So the second time speakers make a difference. I show up on the first Wednesday night, and I have three kids in my youth group: Jory, Stacy, and Mackenzie. And I remember it clearly because I looked in those girls' eyes and I said, we're going to build this youth group, and we're going to build it through bringing in speakers. What they didn't know is I was actually scared of speaking a little bit, and I didn't want to be on stages. And so I brought in speakers. I brought in health and wellness experts. I brought in financial advisors. I brought in CEOs. I brought in entrepreneurs. I brought in stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, Super Bowl MVPs. I brought in speakers, and our youth group grew from 3 kids to 750 kids in a town of 10,000. 12,000, but 10 to 12,000. We built $1 million youth facility because we couldn't hold the kids that we were having. Our Wednesday night services were having more than the adult services on Sunday nights a lot of the times. But that's important for your audience to understand, because that's the first time I was like, stages grew me personally. Speakers and stages grew me personally as a kid. They're growing my youth group. This is interesting. There's this common theme, like what stages can do to grow something. And then one of those speakers I brought in, his daughter was the first girl killed at Columbine. He came in, he spoke, he gave his challenge. My dad was sitting in the audience, and it's what prompted my dad to write me a letter saying, I'm sorry for the father I've been. Here my son is having an impact on hundreds of kids' lives, and I can't have an impact on my only son's life. He asked me for a second chance to do things right, and he told me he loved me for the first time in over a decade. And my wife and I read that letter, and we began to weep, and we began to cry. And the first thing I thought is, what just happened? Yeah. The power of 1 hour on a stage and how it can influence people. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I've tried church, I've tried counseling. His 7 siblings for 10 years have said, make things right with your son. And finally, 1 hour, a speaker on a stage transforms my dad and my life. Oh, wow. So now it's personal again. It's like my dad and I's relationship is completely restored because of a stage. Yeah. I call that man, like, why aren't you getting your message out to the world? Like, why aren't you like, and he said this, Melinda, he said, I'm trying this, and I'm trying this, and I'm trying this. I call that bright, shiny object syndrome. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm trying all of these things. And I'm like, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get on stages in front of your ideal audience for 60 minutes. Your ideal audience, that's key. His was principals and superintendents. I don't know what y'all's are, but it's the people who are the decision makers for the products and services that you have to offer this world. His were principals and superintendents. I said, I want you to get in front of them. And as we began to get him in front of those ideal buyers, his organization grew. In 2002, it did $150,000. In 2003, it did $50,000 because Columbine, his daughter was the first girl killed at Columbine, was out of the news. And now you actually he had something that was powerful. He just didn't know how to get it out there. It was going the wrong way. We got him on one stage, the very first stage we got him on, very first stage. And he did like $200,000 in revenues from that stage, but better yet, impacted about 80,000 kids across the state of Texas. 80,000 kids' lives were impacted. At the peak of what they were doing $7 million in revenues on an annual basis, and they were seeing teen suicide prevented every single day. And the number one way they were getting their message out into the world was stages. Wow, this works in the educational market. And he took it into the corporate market. It doesn't just build a youth group, it actually works for someone in the educational and the corporate market. And Melinda, the beautiful thing is, I believe this with all of my heart. That's when I was like, we got to take this out to the world on a bigger scale. We've got to actually start using stages now ourselves to help get this out to the world. And over the last 3 years, the number one thing that we've used in our business, nobody knew me 3 years ago, and so still a lot of people don't know me. And that's okay, but what stages does is it elevates you to be able to truly influence people, to kind of set you apart, set you apart from your competition, and to be able to generate the revenues that you so deserve because of the fact of like just how much it expedites the sales process. And so that's the beautiful thing. We've seen not just us, but thousands of our students in dozens and dozens and dozens of industries use stages to grow their business, grow their influence, grow their impact. And so there's this reoccurring theme in my life of how stages actually impact people personally and professionally. And so I'm excited because I want your community on more stages. I want you on more stages, and we're working with you to be on more stages. But just like even your stage, it was so powerful for us. It was a great stage, like 100 people in the room, probably, and 25 new customers that we got to serve and really impact their lives. Like, that's really cool. Like, from one stage of 100 people, that's really a big deal. So
yeah, we've got Marsha listening in. She was at that event. She met you for the first time, and she just said, thanks for inviting Pete. He's awesome. And it got me excited about speaking and looking for stages to be on. And, you know, you said something interesting, Pete, when you were telling the story about the guy you were working with, and you've got something powerful. You just don't know how to get it out there. Mm-hmm. And we see that so many times with the coaches that we work with. They are phenomenal coaches. They have incredible resources, content, material. And then the question is, how do I get out there? How do how do I confidently allow myself to be seen, right? And I know for me, you know, I'm an introvert. And so one of the most shocking things, it's been nice for 14 years hiding behind my computer and doing thousands and thousands of webinars, but now to actually be live on a physical stage, it shocked me how much I love it. Because it, you know, at first being an introvert, I'm like, no way I'm going to do anything like that. That's nuts. But the service part of me, the one who loves helping people and serving people and supporting people and creating transformation, when I could be in that room on that stage and look in the eyes of people, interact with them, hug them, talk to them, answer their questions, hear their voices, like there was a very different dynamic. And all of a sudden, it didn't matter if I was introvert or extrovert, because now I was being of service at a whole new level. And that was a big shock for me that I didn't expect in getting on stages. And you and Barry and these people, these amazing people around me, you know, when you know what's going on behind the scenes, I mean, that's our whole essence, right? Get prepared behind the scenes, because then it's easy to do that thing. And that's what you do so incredibly well, is helping people getting prepared in advance to find stages and be on stages, how to find them, how to talk to people who can get you on them, what to do once you're on there. And I'm looking forward to the workshop that's coming up that I'm going to be attending, where you and your team are going to be helping me hone in on my signature talk even more.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm super excited about that. So talk to that, you know, that fear of, you mentioned it earlier as well, that fear of being on stage is like, no way, I can't do that. So talk to that a little bit, because we've got incredible people that are powerful at what they do.
Yeah,
and I want them to get out there.
Yeah. So I'll talk to the fear. So the fear was even me, and I'm sure you can find yourself in me. When I was a youth pastor, I avoided the stage because I brought in other speakers. When I started our company 15 years ago to help people get on stages, I was just helping people get on stages. I wasn't putting myself on stages. And then 3 years ago, it became really real to me that, like, man, I'm launching Advance Your Reach. And if I'm really want to do this, I've got to go actually be the guy to get on stages now. And I'm telling you, the very first stage I was on, it was 3 minutes. And I was sweating, and I was shaking, and I was nervous. But there was this amazing rush of me knowing that I had just served that audience. Like, I knew I did. And it was like, I'm going to overcome this fear. And the simplistic way to overcoming the fear, I'm going to tell the soft answer and then the hard answer. The soft answer is designing one great talk and becoming so, like, practicing that talk so much and starting with that talk small. We'll talk about small stages and working your way up to bigger stages here in just a second, but starting small with one great talk. And so over the course of the next couple of weeks in another training that we're going to do, we're going to help people get their talk designed. Like, we're going to help them get their talk designed. And so I just want you to know, like, that's how it starts. It's like getting one talk designed and getting so comfortable with it. The hard answer that a lot of people don't recognize is the reason why a lot of people are afraid of the stage is because it's like, what are people going to say? How are they going to look at me? What are they thinking about me? What if I forget this? What if I trip? What if? And it's so self-absorbed that it's not, we forget that as soon as we take it from a self-absorbed to a service, like that we want to provide service. So it's not, I know that doesn't seem, but we're so consumed with what me, not in a negative way, like in a self-conscious way. But if we can begin to remind ourselves, like, man, Zig Ziglar's son, Tom Ziglar, told me this 2 days ago. He said, we have a moral obligation to share what we know with audiences because of how it will change their lives. And if we can move from that moral obligation to be, and his dad said that too, and begin to say, we have an opportunity to change these people's lives. And you move from here to out there, it's game changer. I mean, it's completely game changer. And so, like, we'll help you overcome the fear of speaking. Like, there's no doubt about that. But really, it's getting one signature talk really, really dialed in, and really getting it dialed in a powerful way.
Yeah, and that's what I discovered when I stood up on that stage and I actually could see the people. It was no longer about me, my nerves, my fear. Am I going to say something wrong? Is it going to come out bad? Did I miss something? And all of a sudden, it was all about them and just the heart opening and making it about them. And And then I got super excited. It's like, oh my gosh, the transformation can be exponential right here, right now. Yeah. And that jazzed me. And I'm like, okay, now I'm hooked. We're in, and we're going to be doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited. And Lisa's on. She's listening in. And Lisa just was at one of your workshops. She's one of our clients and one of our most incredible women in our community. And she had an amazing experience at your Signature Talk workshop as well. Just really honing in what you were talking about, what is that one signature talk that you can take out there?
And the thing is, when you have that, you can share it everywhere, one-to-one, one-to-many, one-to-a-few, over coffee, on a webinar, on a podcast. I was with a young man last night that many people don't know. His name's Ping Jun. And he's literally built an 8-figure company, and like, that's like crazy. And he's like, I've done one major talk for the last like 5 years. And I'm like, that's wild. Now, I believe you can begin to develop more, but let's just get started with one. Let's get you really comfortable with one. And then once you have that one, let's begin to move it into stages. Like stages, let's talk stages for a minute. Like if you want to get yourself out there, a lot of people are like, maybe some of you feel called to the thousands of people stages. And that's cool if you feel called to the thousands of people stages, but most of the people didn't start with the thousands of stages. The dozen or the half a dozen or the 3 people. But here's the thing, what I want folks to know is, like, just in my backyard, right up and down the Front Range of Colorado right here, I could go be on a stage every single day, or not every day, but every week. I could be on a stage every week. I could go speak to 20 financial advisors, 30 coaches, 15 women, a Bible study group of 10 men. I could go speak up and down the Front Range every single week, and start there. Like, start with local stages, like in your backyard. There's millions of them. And we have so many clients that are simply doing that. They're talking to dentists, or they're talking to entrepreneurs, or they're talking to educators, or they're talking to pastors, because all of those people congregate once a month, usually in associations or networks or events or meetings. And there's so many of those. And guess what they don't have? They don't have big budgets. So when they can find a great content provider that they can bring into their group, they bring it in, especially at the local level, because they don't have to pay them. Now, I'm not advocating for not getting paid for speaking, because as you begin to elevate, you begin to get yourself positioned, which is where I am now, but I wasn't there 3 years ago. You can begin to get paid, and you can begin to get on bigger stages and national stages. And maybe some of you are there, and you're like, Pete, I want more of that. Cool. Our system is for that as well, but I want you to start where you should. And so for a lot of you, it's probably local stages. And then for some of you, like Melinda, it's national stages. But regardless, I want you to know that there are so many offline and online stages that exist that I want you to go after. This year, we will do around 17 to 20 offline stages. And we'll do 100 to 125 online stages, digital stages, like summits and podcasts and webinars. And we're in other people's membership sites, and we're in other people's courses. Like, that's a stage for me, because I don't have to do anything for that people to consume my content. So we'll do over 100 plus digital, and 15 to 20, I don't know what the final number is, physical. And the combination of both the digital and physical stages is so powerful. And right now, I'm doing local stages. I did a local stage yesterday, and it was powerful. I drove up to Denver. I spoke for 25 minutes, and I drove back. I did a local stage. I actually voxed Melinda on my way back from that local stage.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. And so that's the second piece I want people to understand, is there's all these stages that exist. Pete, why do I want to do stages? Like, what if I can't get paid? Or what is, there's a lot of common objections. So the third part of our system teaches that stages are the fastest, I'm going to prove both of these, and most reliable ways to grow your business. Fastest, like, I want you to be on stages because it's going to attract more customers into your business. Last night's stage, 60 people in the room, maybe 70. That stage will probably see 6 to 10 new customers come in as a result of that stage. For an $8,000 workshop that we do, like, we'll see 6 to 8 new customers come in from that stage. It's fast because I get 25 minutes, 35 minutes, or in Melinda's case, 60 minutes of their undivided attention. I had a big internet marketer tell me, if I get somebody to consume 60 minutes of content of mine online, they're probably going to become a customer. There's a good probability they're going to become a customer. The problem is for them to consume 60 minutes of content in the noisiness of the internet might take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. And you're telling me you get all of that with a captive audience all in one pop. And I'm like, yes, that's why stages are so powerful. And that's why they're so fast to help people attract new customers into their business. I told you fast, but I also told you reliable. They've been around for 2,000 years, 2,000 years. And they're not trendy, and they're not coming, and they're not going. People were using stages back in the day as they were in the Colosseum. They were using stages to go. These missionaries didn't just magically be able to go from town to town. They actually had to go raise money in order to keep their missionary work up. And now you go 2,000 years later, and Steve Jobs launches Apple in local stages. He would talk to locals about his products, and locals would buy it, and then Apple just began to grow as a result. And obviously, his stages also began to grow as a result. And so you look 2,000 years later, and they're still around. Think about all of the mediums out there, Melinda, that come and they go. They served a purpose. They were good. Yellow pages were good for a time, you know. TV and radio were good for a time. They're harder than they've ever been. I fast forward through every TV and radio thing now. You know, we don't even, you know, TV and radio were good for a time. Even Facebook. We both use Facebook. But Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg can change anything with the snap of his fingers. And all of a sudden, I have friends who have a company based on one feature in Facebook, and it goes away 2 years ago. And now that's like gone. That medium's gone, or it's shifted, or it's changed. Even that medium, although it's powerful, is unreliable. And we don't know how trendy a lot of these mediums that we're using to get our message out there will be around. But stages are so freaking predictable. And so that's why I want your community on it. It's the fastest and most predictable way for them to get their message out there and inspire people.
Now we've got Tara. She asked an interesting question. She's talking about how she's doing it now, and how do I level up to be paid to speak, right? And so you spoke to that just a few minutes, and I know we're getting short on time. And Tara, this is a great question and kind of the journey where a lot of people are going to. Yeah. And what I love about what you said, Pete, is that it starts at a level and then you grow into it. And I love I'm a process gal and very methodical, and I like that structure because the structure breeds freedom. And I love how you break it down and make it super simple for people to wrap their mind around stages, around the 5 different stages. You started mentioning them. That was one of the things that I was like, oh my gosh, I have a whole new outlook on what stages actually means, where to find them. And I love how you break it down. And I want to share this with Tara and with everybody listening in. You know, over the next week and a half, you are sharing some incredible resources. And I want to make sure that people know about that. Yeah. And so when you head over, for everybody listening in, when you head over to coachesconsole.com/stages, plural, /stages, you're going to get a free resource from Pete. One of my favorite things inside this, there's a lot of things inside this resource, but you'll be able to download it. Terry, you'll be able to download it and print it out. And it's like the ultimate stage guide, right? He's going to begin to help you start doing that research so that, Terry, you're making use of where you are right now and laying the groundwork for where you're going to be going so that you can get paid to do and all kinds of different speaking gigs, not just being paid for them, but other ones as well. And so I want to make sure that you get this. So when you go to coachesconsole.com/stages, you'll leave your name and email, and then Pete is going to send you this free resource. There's a little video that goes with it as well. And you'll have access to that. So, because we don't have much time here, and I know, Pete, we could spend the whole day here talking about this topic. But Tara, I want to make sure you get your hands on that. And then he's got some more resources that we're going to be sharing with you. So when you go to coachesconsole.com/stages, you'll get this one plus some other ones. And Tara, he's going to be doing a training. He's going to be giving some insight into exactly that answer over the course of those resources and that training that's coming up. So definitely stay tuned over the next week to week and a half, because he's going to break down that answer step by step for you. It's what I love about how Pete approaches. He's like, look, this is simple. We're going to give it to you in bite-sized pieces. We're going to make it super simple for you to do that. Lisa was just at the at one of his workshops. I'm heading there, and I cannot speak enough. It's a new thing for me. I'm still super nervous about it. Still feel a little wobbly, which is why I lean on Pete and his team a lot for this. And it's why I wanted to bring Pete here to our community, because I know a lot of you are saying things like, how do I get out there? How can I be seen? How can I share my work in this world? How can I make a difference? Mm-hmm. And my experience, we do a lot with marketing. We do a lot with webinars, a lot with Facebook, a lot with social media, and all this stuff never had the profound impact that I had when I was on that stage. Yeah. And how I can make incredible transformation while I'm serving people and growing my business at the same time. It was something that exploded my heart wide open, and I want that for you all. So that's why I brought Pete here. So Pete, one last little bit of wisdom or insight or tip or some kind of something before we wrap it up here.
Yeah, I would love to. So I appreciate what Tara said. Tara, not only today is that download, what Melinda didn't say about the download is it actually has thousands of stages in dozens of different markets and industries and niches. And so you're going to have access to that, but make sure you watch the supporting training, because the supporting training is what's going to show you how to not just win those stages, but also help you understand how to up-level your speaking, whether you've never spoke, whether you've spoken a few times or you've spoken a lot. This resource is going to help you get your message out to the world. It's going to help you get on stages. And I'm really excited about it, because here's the thing. I want to kind of close with, I'm a story guy. I love to close a story. But I just found out a month ago, I think I told you this, Melinda, but my wife was diagnosed with lupus when we got married, and we were told we would never have kiddos ever. And so we have 3 beautiful adopted kids, Keaton, Mia, and Emma. And there's this reoccurring theme in my family. My dad and me both, but at 40, a month ago, we found out for the first time in 16 years of marriage that we're pregnant. And it was physically, literally impossible. They wouldn't even let us do in vitro because of the fact that they're like, there's no chance of her because of what the chemo did to her. So we're pregnant. We're having a baby girl in March. And yeah, it's kind of cool, but this is the second time where somebody in my family has gotten pregnant into their 40s. I was 40, but my dad was 49. And my dad called me. My stepmom was 48, and he had a baby boy before I had any kids. And so I went home to meet my dad, and if you didn't hear on the front end, my dad and I had a terrible struggle of a journey, and it was a speaker on a stage that changed our lives. So I go home. I'm like seeing how he's holding JT, how he's hugging him. And at the end of the time, when I'm leaving to come back to Colorado that weekend, my dad walks me to the car and he says, I want you to know you'll always be my little boy, but I feel like JT is my second chance to get to do things right. My dad is the most incredible grandfather and the most incredible father today. I talked to him last night. I took him to the World Series last year. We have an amazing relationship, but better yet, who he's showing up in the world to be for my little brother and my kids would have not happened had a stage not been a part of that equation. That's what's going to begin to happen for you as you get on stages. You're going to be able to see the impact that you have on those people's lives, completely change their lives, and that's why I want stages for you. So make sure you go to that training. And Melinda, thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pete. Thanks for all your giving, all your sharing, how easy you're making this, especially for introverts like myself, for those of us that are terrified, nervous of this. Like, you make it so easy and so doable. It's like, oh, well, I can do that. And I just want everybody to know that and have that experience as well. So head over to coachesconsole.com/stages. It's a free resource. There's incredible research that Pete and his team are breaking down for you. Thousands of stages, like he said. There's a supporting training video that goes with it. Watch them, use them in tandem. That's where you'll get the most of it. And then be on the lookout, because we've got some more free resources that we're going to be sharing with you. So if you want to get out there, if you want to be seen, if you want to make a difference while growing and scaling your business, this is an amazing way to do that. Pete and his team are amazing to have that support and guidance behind you. I know they're who's leading me. They're who's teaching me everything I know about this. And I wanted to share the resource with you. So thank you, Pete, for being here. Head over to coachesconsole.com/stages. And I look forward to having a lot of fun and seeing what stages we all get to be on.
Yeah. Thanks, Melinda.
All right, everybody. Bye for now.